All right, I got a request on one of my videos to put out a top 10, or my top 10 prospects for the 2020 NFL draft at this point. And I thought that'd be a great idea. I know I've done podcasts and other media in this and covering my top prospects for the for the NFL draft. And so that's what we're gonna do here. If you have suggestions that you want me to cover, whether it's the NFL draft, college football, the NFL, definitely send them my way, and we'll get those pumped out. So as we speak right now, it's early December. There's still plenty of tape to be seen. We're still seeing conference championships. We've still got bowl games to come up. But here's my early top 10 list. I'm going to start from 10 and work my way down to 1. At number 10, I have Oregon quarterback Justin Herbert. Here's a guy that I've been a big fan of, especially last year. That Stanford game, he showed elite ball placement, anticipation in that game, and I didn't quite see it after that. That was kind of his high water mark. This year, he hasn't really disappointed per se. He didn't get that win against Auburn. They had a bad game against Arizona State. He's really upped his completion percentage. He's upped his touchdowns, lowered his interceptions, but he's done it with a lot of short passes, and that's the way the offense is kind of set up. But he's got a strong arm. He's shown the ability. There's been games where he's had to lead his team down to make a game-winning field goal, and he was able to make those passes and get the ball down and drive the ball down the field. And so I think in the right system, he can have a lot of success. He's got plus arm strength. He's shown the ability to throw with accuracy and touch. I think mentally we got to still see it yet, and he's not that alpha personality. He's kind of that quiet demeanor. So we've seen some of those guys struggle in the NFL. How can he be going forward? I like him a lot, and I think he's got a chance to be a good NFL quarterback. At number 9, I have Oklahoma center Creed Humphrey. He's only a redshirt sophomore, so there's a chance that he could go back to Oklahoma. But when I watched him on tape, I just fell in love with him. He's got good size at 6'4" or 6'5", 316 pounds. He's light on his feet. His just ability to lock onto defenders using his good upper body strength, and then just get his footwork, swing his hips around, and seal off defenders. It's just so natural. He's not this big overpowering mauler that's just going to drive you down to the ground, but he's got that upper body strength to be able to lock on and then steer the defender to where he wants to go. When they played Alabama in the college football playoff last year, he held Quinnen Williams in check, and Quinnen Williams was dominating all last year, and Creed Humphrey was able to kind of keep him basically out of the game. And so you combine his, good balance, good footwork, good upper body strength. I think he's an elite center prospect. I have him as a top 10 prospect, and I think he's has a very good chance of being a top 20 overall draft pick. Number 9, I have Laviska Shenault Jr., the wide receiver out of Colorado. Here's another player that every time I watch him, he just makes plays. He's got good size at 6'2", 225 pounds. Colorado's kind of used him in a variety of different ways. They've put him out wide as a receiver in the slot. They've even ran him as a Wildcat quarterback. And he's done. You think, okay, receiver at Wildcat quarterback, he's going to get it, run like a sweeper. That he's running power and in using that 225 pounds and lowering his shoulder and running guys over. He's got the speed to go deep. He's got the ability to sink the hips and burst in and out of breaks. Good catching radius. The thing, he's got it all, but the big concern about him is he seems to always be nicked up and injured, and so you think that could scare some teams off. And even though I have him as a top 10 prospect, maybe teams have him graded that way, he could fall in the draft because of concerns about his injuries. But he's a do-it-all type of guy. He's a playmaker. Any team that's looking for a chess piece and a guy that can go up and get the ball, they're going to really like Laviska Shenault Jr. Right at 7 right now, I have T. Higgins, another receiver T. Higgins is out of Clemson, 6'4", 205 pounds. I'm a little bit higher on him than a lot of people, and I fully admit I need to watch a little bit more tape on T. Higgins. But when I did, I saw a lot of Julio Jones, and I'm not saying that T. Higgins is Julio Jones. His playing style reminded me a lot of him. He's big, 6'4", over 200 pounds. He's got the speed to win deep. He can run those post routes, those go routes, and overpower defenders down the field going up and getting the ball. He showed good strength and power to get off press. And it's just the style that he plays reminded me a lot of Julio Jones. And you combine that with his speed, you combine that with his explosiveness and his size, and that's what a lot of teams want out of the receivers. We've seen a lot of those guys like Mike Williams, like Corey Davis go in the top 10, and I think T. Higgins is a guy that's going to be probably a first-round pick. I can maybe see him going in the second-round pick, but I think he's a guy that he's not getting a lot of attention right now because Clemson hasn't been too much of a focal point because they haven't been playing anyone good. Seeing him in the college football playoff and having big games, I think that will get him back on a lot of people's radars. At number 6, I have Grant Delpit, the safety out of LSU. Delpit's 6'3", 203 pounds. He's a junior. He hasn't had the best year this year. His sophomore year tape, he was phenomenal. A do-it-all type of guy. I compared him a lot to Derwin James in that he's more of a strong safety, but he's got the athletic ability and the size to kind of be moved around. He can play back in the traditional strong safety role as a 2-high coming down underneath. You could kind of play him at linebacker at times because he's got that size. But he's also shown the ability to play back in coverage and go and show range and go sideline to sideline and make plays on the ball. This year, he's really struggled in his tackling and taking bad angles in that. And he went from being one of the best players in college football last year to just kind of being a guy that struggled at times. The potential's still there. And I think if you get him in the right scheme with the defensive coordinator that can utilize him in a variety of ways, I think he's still going to have a lot of success. At number 5, I have Tua Tagovailoa, the quarterback out of Alabama. Now, he's injured right now. He's had surgery on his ankle this year. He had surgery on his other ankle last year. He has his hip injury. So there's a lot of question marks about Tua Tagovailoa's health. But if you look at him on the field, he is a true franchise quarterback. He's not very big. He's only measured in at 6'1", 218 pounds. But height's not as big of a deal. If the being over 6 foot does help him. We did see a 5'9", 5'10" quarterback in Kyler Murray get drafted number 1 overall last year. Baker Mayfield was around the same height, maybe a little bit smaller. He was drafted number 1. So Tua passes the height test. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm, but he's got the ability to. He wins down the field with enough arm strength and such good anticipation and touch. His ability to read the defense and put the ball where he needs to covers up the lack of Josh Allen or Jamarcus Russell type arm strength. It'll be curious to see where he goes in the draft. There's some rumors that he could still go high. There's some rumors that he could fall. You have to know that some teams are going to be concerned about his injury status, especially that hip. But his play on the field, he's my number 1 quarterback, and he's got the potential to be a very good NFL quarterback, especially if he gets healthy. And I don't like to dock guys for health because based on how I grade, they get graded on their traits. So how do you dock them 5 points or whatever for their injury? So I just like to grade them where I have them based off of film study and just maybe put a little asterisk and said injury. At number 4, I have Jeffrey Okuda, the cornerback out of Ohio State. Here's another guy that kind of, I wouldn't say came out of nowhere, but he really took that step this year. 6'1", 200 pounds. He's got the same body type of a guy like Marshawn Lattimore, who was the 11th overall pick a few years back to the New Orleans Saints, who also came out of Ohio State. When I look at Jeffrey Okuda, the first thing that pops out is his speed and burst. He's got such effortless speed and that ability to just burst forward and just hit that top speed. You're not going to be able to run past him. You're not going to be able to really juke him out. He's able to even recover if you get a step on him. And, you combine that with fluid hips and the ability to change direction. He could play press. He could play bail. He could play off coverage, zone coverage. That burst, that fluidity allows him to kind of stick receivers and then click and close towards the ball. He's tough. He's physical. He's not afraid to make tackles. And then most importantly, he's got good ball skills. He's got the ability to go up and make plays on the ball. He's got the ability to attack the ball at the catch point, go through and break up passes underneath. He's the complete package as a wide receiver. And I think a team that needs a shutdown corner in the top 10 has to hope that Okuda falls to them, because he could very well go top 5. At number 3, I have AJ Epinesa, the defensive end out of Iowa. Here's a guy that it has just dominated at times. 6'5", 277 pounds. This was his first year as a true starter because he had played behind some veteran seniors ahead of him. Even though he was more talented, he came in off the bench. This summer I compared him a lot to Nick Bosa in that sense that Bosa really didn't start until his junior year because he played behind guys. And Epinesa was the same way, and he had better numbers than Nick Bosa. Here's a guy that's got the strength and the size to hold up on the edge, set that edge. A lot of the times he's able to just get that one arm in and hold to the point of attack with the offensive tackle, and then still have the agility and the lateral quickness to get off. He's got the ability to bend the edge. He's not a true bendy guy like a Von Miller that's going to just loop right around the edge like nothing. But he does have that ankle flexibility. He can, just turn right around the offensive tackle and get to the quarterback. He's shown a variety of different pass rush moves, and he's just a guy that, I might be a little bit higher. I've seen a lot of people in mock drafts have him kind of more in the teens, but I think his ability, his size, his athletic ability, his production, NFL teams are definitely going to fall in love with him. All right, my number 2 guy is Alabama receiver Jerry Judy. I've compared a lot of guys to NFL players, and a lot of my comparison with Jerry Judy is to Odell Beckham Jr. in the sense that Odell Beckham Jr. and Jerry Judy aren't these 6'3", 6'4" basketball style wide receivers that you're just going to throw the ball up and they're going to outmuscle the defender for the ball. Jerry Judy, like Odell Beckham, is around that 6 foot mark. I got him measured at 6'1", 192 pounds. Judy can do it all, even though he's smaller. 6'1", still pretty good size for a receiver. He shows the ability to go up at the catch point and make those catches. He's got a good catching radius. He can go down low and get the ball. He can adjust to it. But he's such a good athlete. That acceleration, the burst, the agility. You see a lot of receivers in college that are good athletes are able to get open because of that athletic ability, and Jerry Judy's able to do that. But he's also a polished route runner. He knows how to set up defensive backs. He's with body leans. He's able to sink his hips, and you combine his nuances in his route running with his athletic ability, and he can create separation. And even if he doesn't have that separation, he has the body control and the catching radius to go up and get the ball. Total package, stud wide receiver. I think he's, like I said, in that Odell Beckham Jr. mold of a receiver, and another guy that I would feel comfortable taking him in the top 3 if I needed a playmaker at receiver. And my number 1 player in the 2020 class so far, and I have a feeling this is going to stick, and this isn't going to be a surprise, it's Ohio State's Chase Young. He's been an absolute stud this year, 6'5", 256 pounds. Other than the Michigan game where he was held statless, he has completely dominated, leading the NCAA in sacks this year. He's pushing to potentially get the sack record, single season sack record held by Terrell Suggs. Like I said, 6'5", 256 pounds. Just complete and utter dominance. He's got the size, he's got the power, he's got the athletic ability. Teams tried double teaming him, and he's able to split it. He can loop to the inside. He can beat you around the corner, bending the edge. The thing that I was kind of holding me back into going, not he was still my number one player, but the thing that I was really wanting to see this year was his pass rushing moves. I didn't see a whole lot of it on his sophomore tape. This year, you've seen plenty of it. Whether it's rip moves, whether it's swim moves, clubs. He's shown better hand usage, and I think that's a big reason why he's been able to even dominate more, especially with teams have focused on him. And he's doing this also when he missed 2 games, so he could potentially set the all-time sack record for a single season, and he missed 2 games. I did a film room session on him. If you haven't checked it out, go do that. I compared him to Khalil Mack. I think Chase Young can come in and have a Khalil Mack type impact in the NFL of quickly becoming one of the better defensive players in the league. He's the best defensive end prospect I've seen in the last several years, and that includes Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett, so on and so forth. I think he's an absolute stud. I love watching him on tape, and I think if a team didn't need a quarterback number 1 overall, I think Chase Young would be a slam dunk pick for that. But because you have teams like the Dolphins, like the Cincinnati Bengals, they're probably going to take a quarterback number 1, and a team like the New York Giants sitting there at number 2 or number 3 could potentially have Chase Young fall into their lap. All right, that's my top 10 NFL draft prospects for the 2020 NFL drafts as of early December 2019. Let me know what you think. If there's players that you think I should have in my top 10, let me know. We can debate it and go from there. Hope you enjoy.